Let's talk revolution. It's a time where you take back everything that you were owed from those who have taken it from you. It's where you rise up against the injustices of society. It's where you stand up for the rights of yourself and your fellow man. Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about the guys who have been doing it since the day they knew what it was. The French. This is the French Revolution explained in as little time as possible. The French do revolutions and protests like no one else in the world has. And the French Revolution is the earliest proof we have of them doing very much exactly that. The French Revolution was a period of radical political and societal change in France that began with the Essays General of 1789 and ended with the formation of the French Consulate in November 1799. The ideas of the French Revolution are considered to be fundamental principles of a liberal democracy, while the values and institutions that are created are very much central to French political discourse. Now, this video is simply an overview of the most tumultuous time in French history and will show you why this very much still holds true to this very day. At the very heart of the French Revolution, the causes were generally agreed to be a combination of social, political, and economic factors, which the ancient regime in France proved unable to manage. However, many scholars do tend to liken the question of political power being the heart of the revolution. And this was very much obvious in 1789 under the rule of King Louis XVI, who was ruling France with an iron fist. His reign, though, was marred very much by economic problems, corruption, and a growing sense of discontent among the French people, more so likely in part due to the actions of his wife, the Austrian Maria Antoina, who was given the French name Marie Antoinette, who we likened the phrase "let them eat cake" to, when the original quote was actually "let them eat brioche." That's a little fun history tidbit for you. But this all led to a growing sense of discontentment among the French people, and it was what sort of sparked the embers for the revolution that would go on to sort of burn the Bourbon monarchy in France and bring about a liberal democracy, or rather a form of it. Speaking of that spark was the discontent that I just talked about. Now, this discontent boiled over into revolution with the calling of the Estates General in May 1789, a meeting of representatives from the three estates of French society: the clergy at the very top, the nobility, the so-called middle class, and the commoners, the peasantry, the absolute lowest of the low. The commoners, that served to be the majority of the population, to an estimated 65 to 85% of the total population of France at the time, were very much frustrated with the way the other two estates held all the power and decided to push for change. This, however, led to what we now know as the tennis court oath. Now, the background behind this is that the meeting was convened for a time being. However, when the third estate representatives showed up the next day to reconvene the meeting, they were not allowed entrance to the meeting hall. Therefore, they took it upon themselves to actually move ahead to take the entire third estate and move to the monarch's favorite indoor tennis court. And there they pledged not to disband until a new constitution had been written. And this is a very pivotal moment in the French Revolution and is now the absolute marker for the beginning of the end for King Louis XVI's rule. The revolution continued to gain momentum throughout the summer of 1789, And on the 14th of July, in the very same year, the absolute peak of the summer month, the people of Paris stormed the Bastille, a symbol of the monarchy's power and its tyranny. The event has now celebrated as Bastille Day, a national holiday in France, with the date marking the official independence of France, though it was never colonized for a change. Now, the Bastille Day is very much a realistic and also very horrifying marker, or rather indicator, of how discontented or how angry the people of Paris were with the people who ruled over them, which prompted them to rise up and revolt, to rebel. And this clip that is showing right now in front of you is just one depiction of it from an old movie as to how brutal the actual storming of the Bastille was. However, truth be told, the French Revolution was not exactly all sunshine and rainbows. Let's be honest, it was a revolution. It is obviously going to have some unforeseen and very drastic consequences. The consequence of this, as a result of the ousting of the monarchy and the deaths, or rather executions, of both Marie Antoinette and the King Louis XVI in 1792, gave birth to what was known as the Reign of Terror. The Reign of Terror was a period of extreme violence and bloodshed that took place between 1793 and 1794. This period in time is one of the darkest in French history, being a time where anyone suspected of opposing the revolution was subject to arrest, imprisonment, and execution by guillotine. Now, the thing is, or rather what is ironic here, is that it was carried out by a council known as the Council of Safety, or the Council of Security. This council was led by Maximilien Robespierre, the actual representative of the Third Estate from the Estates General. The Reign of Terror ended in 1794 with the formation of the National Assembly. However, the National Assembly was also very inconsistent in the way that they were dealing with the tumultuous time in France. This lasted for a little over 5 years. The revolution itself came to an official end in 1799 with the rise of the military hero Napoleon Bonaparte, a military leader becoming a hero during the revolution. Napoleon himself was born in Corsica, a colony of France that is now part of Italy. Now, Napoleon, holding much military prowess, went on to become a statesman. He went on to take place as the Emperor of France and reshape Europe through his military conquests, only being put to rest by the British at the Battle of Waterloo. Now, the legacy of the French Revolution is still felt very much to this day. The ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity that were at the heart of the revolution continue to inspire people around the world. The revolution also did set the stage for other major events in European history, such as the rise of nationalism and the Industrial Revolution. This event in time is quoted to be one of the biggest shows of power by people that have been suppressed and dominated for decades.